Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Monday morning in December. And who wants to go to work? Does anybody want to go to work in December? I want to go play board games. Can we let's cancel the recording?
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day and he says, oh yeah, I don't work on Mondays anymore. I went, well, of course not. But out of curiosity, how? Who does? But why?
But could you share the secret?
He saves up a lot of vacation time so that after Thanksgiving, he takes Mondays off.
Oh,
so
that's
he always
great.
has
Oh, so
3-day
for like
weekend,
that,
just
4 weeks.
Yeah, does that for a couple weeks and then fades into the week and a half off that a lot of people are able to.
Let's put in a request with HR, aka Mom, to see if we can start taking Monday off. But for now, you know what? We're here because guess who was here all weekend while we were playing was the men and women in our
horsing around.
Armed
Badasses
forces
in the military.
Yeah, holy cow.
Suggest you pick up a weapon and stand a post.
Let's all raise our mugs to the men and women in the military like we do every Monday here on the Stacking Benjamin Show.
Got this one.
On behalf of there's a mustache, man. Holy cow.
Hashtag goals.
Maybe we'll talk mustaches later. On behalf of the men and women.
I must dash you a question.
At Mom's Basement Making Podcast and the men and women at Navy Federal Credit Union, here's to our troops. Let's go stack some Benjamins together.
Thanks, everybody. Can we OG's mug just gave me PTSD flashbacks to the kid catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That mug is terrifying.
Everybody's going to look up what the hell you just mentioned.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yes,
Chitty
you
Chitty
do.
Bang Bang is it?
Nobody of a certain generation watched Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and wasn't terrified by the kid catcher.
Is that the boomer equivalent of the red balloon in the sewer?
No, because that was from an actual horror movie. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was this
like
light
a family movie.
Yeah, family movie.
Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it is a little boomery.
Can we make a podcast?
Gen X.
Do you guys mind if we hit record on this thing?
Well, you just start. We got some stuff to finish up.
Yeah.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and let's get that budget in order, shall we? In our prep to roll into 2025, we welcome the woman helping you crush money goals, Bernadette Joy. Plus, how does 15.25% guaranteed sound? Well, it sounded great to one man, and you can imagine what comes next. We'll dive in during today's headline segment. And of course, we'll rev the engines. Oh, that's the wrong sound. On this podcast with some of my mind-bending money trivia. And now, two guys who are locked, cocked, and ready to rock.
Oh, boy.
It's Joe and O-G.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to 1975, the podcast. I am Joe Saul Seahigh.
It's a good band.
It's a great day.
Yeah.
I think you had to be born in 1975 or earlier to know the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang restaurant reference. Chitty Chitty
Wow.
Bang Bang restaurant. That was an opportunity missed.
Never heard of it.
No kidding. The interior decor would be amazing in that.
So great. Anyway, for everybody that has no idea what we're talking about, or even if you do, we're going to move on. Sit back and relax. We've got an hour of money nerdery coming your way. And man, I can't wait because OG Bernadette Joy joins us.
Happy Joy.
I know, and she is.
What's that from? Ren and Stimpy? Isn't that Ren and Stimpy?
Oh, yeah.
My parents wouldn't let me watch that.
Your parents. You were a parent when that movie was out, or show was out.
That is probably true. That may be true. 2 truths and a lie, or we'll just play 1 lie and a lie. And that's the one. Bernadette Joy, last time I saw her was on the main stage. She was the MC of the FinCon conference this year.
Sweet.
She's got a great podcast, and she is somebody who, listen, if you want somebody who has an amazing story like Jackie had last week for us when she was explaining the FIRE movement for beginners, a great episode, Bernadette can explain how to get out of debt because she paid off a ton of debt in a short amount of time, and she's got a process she's going to dive into today to help you. So I think it's a good time for this, OG, especially in the month of December when this is the budget breaker month, to not just think
Budget
about
buster.
not to just think about not spending so much money, but to think proactively about your budget on a month when everybody else is spending money, kind of doing a little bit of salmon, swimming upstream this month. Good idea. Can't wait for her.
Can we get Steve to play Bernadette by the Four Tops every time we mention her name?
Wish he could. We totally should.
Bernadette!
Steve would do it.
I need you to live.
That's as close as we can get without having to pay a bunch of money to BMI or ASCAP.
Speaking of sweet, sweet soul music.
Very good.
Do you think many stackers have checked out my soul Christmas playlist?
You know what's funny? As we record this, I was so busy, Doug, I did not make it public yet. We got to get that done.
That's why I couldn't understand.
We'll put a link in the
couldn't
basement.
understand why it was at 0.
I'm so glad you brought that up. We will put a link in the basement and in the 201 newsletter for everybody. Those are the ways that we know how to reach our listeners. So if you're not in our Facebook group or getting the newsletter, stackingbenjamins.com/201 for the newsletter.
Where's this at?
Apple Music, because I know. But Joe's going to then figure out how to get it.
I'm moving it to Spotify. Yes.
It'll be in
for
both
99% of our audience. I'm moving it to Spotify.
For all listeners except the 6 that are on Apple Music.
The whole reason I'm on Apple Music is your fault, Joe.
Why's that?
Because 15 years ago.
Hey, do you guys mind if we make a podcast?
Way back in the day when we were trading songs.
Well, and you gave me the gift of Apple Music, like a subscription to it for a year.
I didn't know it was going to drown you forever, though. Some of us made the switch,
Doug.
Now. Some of us. I would bet 100% of our listeners who don't know what Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is are on Spotify. There's not one listener who knows who doesn't know Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, who also uses Apple Music. Says the guy who uses Bing.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
We got a great show. We got some sponsors, though, that make this show run. Bernadette Joy going to help you crush your money goals today. But before we get there, let's hear from our sponsors who make this free so we can keep it on. And then Bernadette Joy, she is a money expert who offers such relatable advice on getting that financial freedom you're looking for. Listen to this, guy. She paid off $300,000 of debt in 3 years. She invested enough to, quote, retire by 40, make work optional by 40. She's been on the TEDx stage, spoken at South by Southwest and the NASDAQ exchange. And now she is on the Stacking Benjamin show. I'm sure the highlight of her career. Let's say hi to these sponsors and then Bernadette Joy right around the corner. Dell PCs with Intel Inside are built for the moments you plan and the ones you don't. They're for those all-night study sessions, the moment you're working from a cafe and realize every outlet's taken, the times you're deep in your flow and can't be interrupted by an auto update. That's why Dell builds tech that adapts to you. Built with long-lasting batteries so you're not scrambling for an outlet, and built-in intelligence that makes updates around your schedule, not in the middle of it. Find technology built for the way you work at Dell.com/Dell PCs. Built for you. In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, The last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business. And I'm super happy she's making a repeat trip down to Mom's basement. Bernadette Joy is here. How are you?
I love being in your mom's basement. It's great. It's just a party over here.
It is a party here. You grew up in a Filipino immigrant family in Queens, right?
In Queens, New York, yes.
Yeah, and I grew up in West Michigan as a kid. And kind of your early, your parents want to instill these values in you. Your dad, my dad wanted to instill these values in you. Your dad said the same thing my dad said, which is, you're struggling, do what?
Work hard.
Work hard. Work harder. I remember my dad's answer to everything was work harder, and so was yours.
Oh, yeah. I have a quick funny story. My dad would have to sign off on my report cards. Do you have report cards in Michigan? I think so.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, we're not that redneck. We did have report cards.
Okay, cool. So, on the report card, you check off all of the things that the kid is doing right. And it's like excellent, satisfactory, whatever, needs improvement. And I got all E's except for 2, which was in gym.
E then is exemplary.
Yeah. Excellent, like the top thing. I got all E's except for 2, which was in physical education. And my dad, first of all, he comes to me. He's like, "Why didn't you get an E in physical education?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm a tiny Asian girl. I don't know why I didn't get it." And I was in 4th grade. And so he responds back. You're supposed to write the comments on your report card as a parent. And he says, "Bernadette has asthma, but she will try harder."
Oh, wow.
I found this report card maybe like a couple years ago when I was moving, because I was like cleaning out all my stuff. And I was just like, it's not normal, right? I showed it to my husband. He's like, yeah, that's normal, but not normal at the same time.
Yeah. It's so funny. My dad, I remember I was struggling with my first job with this boss. And it's funny because my dad's answer was, and by the way, I'm 14 years old and I'm working at the Tasty Freeze, this little, place serving soft serve ice cream. I remember this boss just hated me. And my dad was like, just work harder. And so I worked harder and she still hated me. And then I worked harder and she still hated me. But that was always my dad's answer. Be their best friend. That is what I feel like a lot of families know. Like, your dad wanted you to be great at stuff. My dad wanted to be great at stuff. And yet often parents just didn't have the tools, to help people get on their financial journey. Well,
I think they didn't have the tools, but also the tools that they did have, they would work those same tools into the ground. Like, I think about if you're using a screwdriver and you keep screwing the same screw over, like, it'll get stripped eventually. There is this idea, especially like you mentioned with like immigrant families, of, all right, these are the major levers that we pull. We buy a home, we get a good job, and we work really hard. And that should just set us up for life. And actually, as you put out so graciously and generously in the podcast, there are many things that contribute to being able to stack your Benjamins. And it's not just those 3 levers, but if you continue to pull those 3 levers, not only will your tools eventually wear out, but you'll also be exhausted.
Well, this is what's interesting. So your family moves to Las Vegas. And you write that you're surrounded, Bernadette, then by a different type of people. And it's always interesting to me how much environment changes things, right? You start to see people working very hard, but also your kind of worldview changes when you move to Las Vegas. How is that?
To clarify, so my parents moved to Las Vegas. I stayed in New York, and then I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. So I split time, basically. My family and friends were in New York. I was visiting Las Vegas several times a year, especially when my father got sick. And then my primary residence was in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so jumping from these different places and seeing the work cultures, I would say Las Vegas kind of almost being not the antithesis to New York City, but a way more laid back than New York City culture. And then Charlotte is kind of in between because Charlotte is also a banking hub and there's plenty of people in suits here also. I started to realize and notice that in Las Vegas, especially a lot of Filipinos who immigrate to Las Vegas are working hospitality. It's, oh, you're working really hard, but now you're making less money. At least when my dad was working really hard in New York City, like he was getting a decent salary as an accountant. But in Las Vegas, there's not that many corporate things. And so a lot of people are just reliant on the hospitality industry. My parents had someone who they were kind of hosting, a younger girl, a friend of my mom's, sent her daughter to the US to try to see if she could get a job in hospitality. And so my parents were hosting her for almost a year. And she had to work 3 jobs.
Wow.
And she had to take public transportation. And if you know Las Vegas, public transportation there is not efficient at all. And so I had this newfound reminder. I knew it, but I'm like, wow, people work really hard. Like the kind of hard work that I saw growing up was, both my parents worked in like corporate jobs. But now I saw the working hard of like, oh, you have to get 3 jobs to make sure that you can survive.
Well, and on the other side, you're in Charlotte. And I think, is this when you're now entering the financial realm? You're also in tech startups. So you're seeing this group of people who are working hard, but they seem to be building something, I would assume. And then looking at what your parents are going through in Vegas and struggling to build anything.
Yeah. I mean, the main reason that my parents moved to Las Vegas was because they couldn't afford their mortgage anymore in New York City. It was several years after I found out. My mom actually hid from me that she was cleaning houses in order to keep their mortgage in New York City. And that was like another weird thing that I had to grapple with, is that there's this idea that if you're struggling financially, at least, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts in Michigan, but this New York City Filipino immigrant family, we're like, we can't tell anyone that we're struggling. We can't tell anyone that we can't afford this mortgage. So I'm just going to do these things and not even tell other people in my family that this is what we need to do. Because there's this shame around, oh, I worked really hard and then I still can't afford stuff. So something must be wrong with me. And so that was very challenging to navigate as a first generation. Like, what do you do when myself, I'm working at, like you said, I'm working at these tech startups. I'm trying to build something on my own. And then your family is telling you, like, we can't afford to do stuff. Like, we can't afford to live right now. And so I'm like, afford to live. Like, what do you mean? Like, what? We're all working hard and we're all doing exactly what we were told to do. And all of us are anxious about money every day. Like that, this can't be it.
Mine was in some ways the opposite. When I started going to school in Charleston, South Carolina, some of my friends are fabulously wealthy. And I started to get some maturity and to see that, oh, who I'm around is going to make a difference in my life. And people have different trajectories and people's parents are thinking about something different than just work hard. Now, I don't want to shame my parents because this is like a lot of parents, right? But to your point, there were more things than just that one screw. There were different solutions to problems. In my community, there was much more of a, oh, you think you're special.
Yeah.
You think you're better than us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the shame went the other way. You know what I mean? Like, oh, look at Joe. Like, oh. So that was kind of ugly. But I do think there is this thing about proximity and the people you're around and the things that they do. Like, I can just imagine this relative of yours moves to the United States, wants a job in hospitality, has to work 3 jobs. Her first feeling about the USA, Bernadette, has to be, well, hell, everybody's got 3 jobs because everybody around her has 3 jobs. So she thinks that's just reality in the United States.
Exactly. Right. And I think that goes for a lot of us. And I think that is why it's so great that you have a platform like this where people of different backgrounds can get together and share these experiences. Because for the longest time, I thought, okay, the ticket is, and again, so stereotypically Filipino, but everyone who's a Filipino is like an accountant or a nurse or a doctor, literally. I mean, if you go to your hospital, 50% of the nurses are Filipino. And so my thought growing up was like, those are the only paths. That's it. You either work in healthcare or you either work at a corporate place. And if you are one of the people who didn't follow that, then you're like this relative who has to work a lot of different jobs, but we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that cousin. We don't talk about that person.
Right.
And
or when we do, it's the way that you just said it. When we talk about them, we just go, you don't want to be like them.
Exactly. I'm really grateful that with the financial journey that I've had, where I have been sharing more openly what I've been struggling with, that so many people of all different backgrounds have reached out to me and said, similar to you starting this podcast episode, saying, we actually have a lot more in common than I realized. And if we can actually share the best practices and share the tips and share the best of what we've got, we can maybe find some combination of those tools that will work in our favor. And I'm really grateful that I constantly get to interact with people who are at different stages of their financial journey, even now.
Well, the big thing you and I have in common is we were both FinCon MCs, which, by the way, hard job, isn't it? It was. I did that for 3 years, Bernadette. You did a kick-ass job on the FinCon stage as MC, but I didn't know when I first started doing that how hard it was going to be.
I was telling Jess, I looked at the list of who were the FinCon MCs, and then Erica and Andy were the years before and stuff. And I was like, really big shoes to fill. So there was definitely a little bit of like, oh, I can't mess this up because other people were really good here. People have an expectation of what is going to be here. So thank you.
We're going to talk about fear in a minute because it's a big part of what you help people do is fight fear. Your work, I think, helps people break through fear. But I want to talk about, so you're in Charlotte, you're working in tech startup world, working in finance, ostensibly making good money. Your parents are working 3 jobs. When did you figure out that it might be more than just hard work? Because, one of my favorite Bernadette Joy stories, and it's at your expense, by the way, Bernadette, is that you had this massive burnout. Like, you're like, oh, hey, wait a minute. I got to pump the brakes here. When did you hit that wall?
Specifically, it was January 2016.
Not that you know the date or anything. Not that you have a specific.
There was literally a moment. So it was January 2016. I had a semester left to go in my MBA program that I thought was going to be the silver bullet to what am I going to be when I grow up? So I had decided that I wanted to do something different from the tech world that I was in. I didn't know what that was going to be. Again, followed the very stereotypical Asian rhetoric of like, what's a solution to this? More education, more degrees. So I went back and got my MBA and then had this stark realization that I was 2.5 years later, now $72,000 in student loans, and I still didn't know what I want to do. And it looked like I would have to go back to doing the exact same thing I was doing before. And I was like, no.
All this work and no progress.
Actually, even I would say I felt like I took a step back because now I'm $72,000 in debt. I didn't have that debt before.
Right. Yeah.
This is before Zoom became really a thing, but I was in an online class about marketing. I decided to look at my student loan balance while I was in class. And I wish I had the recording of this class now because imagine, it's like a Zoom thing with like 25 people in it. And I'm probably in there, like everyone else is paying attention. I'm like freaking out. Just freaking out of just, oh my gosh, this is how much student loan debt I got. And I have 10 weeks before I graduate and I don't have a clear plan other than to go back to doing exactly what I was doing before. And I'm sure at some point, you just don't see anyone. You just see no Bernadette, just my background, because I'm freaking out so much that I hide under my desk.
You don't want people to see you.
I realize I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm on camera. Wait a minute. I hide under my desk because if you turn off your camera, then the professor really knows you're not paying attention. Yeah. So I was pretending that I dropped something on the floor and just like slowly just hid. And so I was literally on the floor of my office, my home office that day and thinking, wow, I really messed this up. I'm really at a wall. I don't know how to get out of this debt that I accrued that doesn't feel like it was for progress. And I'm going to have to go back and do more of the stuff that I don't like doing. So that was now 8 years ago.
Well, and this feels very congruent as well. And this is where I think our paths also cross is that you had this, if I just work harder, AKA get more degrees, it's going to solve everything. Mine was, if I just make more money, things are going to go great. I don't have to be great at budgets. I don't have to understand my financial statement. I don't have to even worry about my debt. If I just make more money, it'll solve it, which was, Bernadette, for me, a gigantic lie. As much as for you, more degrees was going to solve the thing, which I guess gets down to this. You say often that financial literacy is fantastic, but what I love is you've got this whole chapter that's like financial literacy isn't the answer. We want more than that. What does more mean? More than financial. We don't just want to know what we need to do. What do we need?
Yes. Well, thank you. Wow. You really read the book. That's awesome.
He actually studied.
I do get frustrated actually when people say, oh, she teaches financial literacy, because I actually don't think that I do. And the parallel that I make with people, because I also grew up watching a lot of sports despite my S in physical education was,
It means you're still satisfactory, Bernadette. No matter what your dad says, you're still satisfactory there.
I'm still bitter about it. Financial literacy, to me, the analogy I make to people is saying you understand the rules of the game. So if you're a basketball player, then you know whether or not you're supposed to be inside or outside of the paint, whether or not what's a foul, like all of those things. But financial independence, which is what I believe that I teach, is how to win the game. How do you actually strategize, and how do you have the right team, and do you have the right coaches or mentors and the playbook to actually win the game? I do have a strong opinion about it, where I do think financial literacy is a well-intentioned initiative for a lot of places and organizations. But one of the things that I was talking about with a good colleague of mine this morning was that right now, a lot of the big investment companies are now targeting women all of the sudden. And all of the classes or the courses or the things that I see geared towards women around investing are always like, investing for dummies, investing for beginners, investing like basics.
Oh, God.
And I'm just like, you do not understand that a third of women are actually eligible to be an accredited investor. Why is there nothing for them, including myself? When we talk about financial literacy, I just don't think we can hang out in that space very much longer, because people right now are thirsty for what they need to do, not just what they need to know.
That is 100%. You hit that nail on the head, because I get frustrated with people I call broke professors, people that know everything. They know all the rules. They read all the books. Heck, they're listening to you and I right now after they've listened to 16 other people's podcasts, because they're looking for the silver bullet. And the silver bullet is never, Bernadette, what you know. It's not what and don't get me wrong, you got to know first, but then you got to do something. And I love that impetus that let's actually do something with this knowledge.
Mm-hmm. And even for myself, I shifted in the last year specifically around information versus habits. What I realized, what I actually think I have a gift in, is because I have a way of bullying people into being better people.
You're going to be a better person. You're going to like it.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to like this right now. It's going to be really hard, but too bad. We got stuff to do. Let's go. Which a lot of people said at FinCon. They were just like, I feel like if I don't do this right now, like, you're going to come after me. I'm like, that's right. Like, go make some money and go be the light in the world. Thank you. See you later. Right. And
we're going to start calling you Bernadette Ramsey, like Gordon Ramsay. Bernadette Ramsey.
Honestly, I have a little bit of that vibe. And I think also it catches people off guard, because when you first meet me, I'm like, oh, I'm bubbly and like friendly or whatever. And then if I like you enough, then I will bully you into stop doing the stuff that isn't helping you.
I feel like such a good friend of Bernadette's because I've been bullied by her.
Exactly. It's true. Because if I see you doing something stupid and I don't like you, I'm just not going to tell you. I'm just going to let you just keep doing stupid stuff. Right. So what I am really excited for is I had that epiphany a year ago, where the difference when people said they came through my coaching and came through my programs is that they felt like they needed to go do something. A lot of times people will go to a webinar or whatever. I'm like, oh, that was good information, and then just go about their regular day. But I've had people come to like a webinar of mine and then a week later said, I paid off my car. And it's like, oh, great, good.
Fantastic.
Go do something else.
Yes. Versus I learned about the difference in interest rates and not paying that interest. Oh, good. Great. But where did it go? Let's talk order of operations then. So if we're going to bust out of this, you and I talking together, and I'm going to go do something, order of operations, what's the first thing that I should do to get rolling?
This also shows the evolution of how Crush came to be. So Crush is literally the order of operations that I tell people to do. And a couple of years ago, I fell into the trap of many other women, financial literacy people, that were like, you have to change your mindset. And to a certain degree, I agree with that. But I realized the only way that you change your mindset and you change the mentality you have around money is to do something.
Get moving.
Yeah, get moving. And so the order of operations I teach people first is to go and curate your accounts. Go actually collect every account that has money in or out of it and get it into a tool like Monarch Money, for example, where you can see it all in one place. And then you can see, okay, actually this account is doing nothing for me. It's been sitting around here. I didn't even know this 401k, I have so many people who have 401ks that are from an old company and they haven't looked at it in decades. So go ahead and curate those accounts and get rid of the ones that are not serving you, and then rename the accounts that you do have as to what their real purpose is, which is really fun for me, because then this is where I get into using emojis and lots of other fun things. But most people don't look at their finances that way. They're just like, oh, I'm just looking at the money in my bank account, maybe the money in my savings account. And now I'm making choices on my entire financial future based off of how much money I made versus how much money I have. So I get really excited about that because people feel like they're already moving forward when they're like, I didn't know I had this much money. Or I didn't know I had these accounts. And then they actually, even just the act of deleting one of those accounts or closing one of those accounts, give people such a sense that they are getting momentum and then they start moving faster.
It's so exciting. And there's these unintended consequences too. The unintended thing that I always saw back when I was a financial planner, when we would do this, is that just by listing them out too, your subconscious brain starts working on all the stuff you're talking about. What is this for? Am I doing this right? Is this like you start asking these questions you would have never thought in a million years? And they're not questions that I don't think you can go search for. I think they're questions that find you when you curate the account. I think that's
a great way to put it. The questions find you once you put it out there. Absolutely.
Now, people make mistakes as they're going, and you list out 5 mistakes. And I thought a great use of our time here, Bernadette, would be just walking through the mistakes that people make so that we find the road. Number 1 on your list of mistakes people make, they're juggling too many goals, you say. Tell me about that.
Well, I'm sure you got this as a financial planner before too. People will come and say, hey, I need help with my finances because I want to pay down my debt, also buy a house, fund my kids' college funds, and be able to retire. And I want it now. I'm like, cool.
Here's your magic wand. Right. I have your ruby slippers. Click these 3 times.
Yes. So the way that I have been able to address kind of that stuff, the first thing is to let people know it's just not possible. You cannot do all of those things all at the same time, even though a lot of people will try to convince you that. And when I said I had a lot of degrees, I have 3 degrees. I have 2 business degrees and a psychology degree. And the psychology degree taught me that humans are not good at multitasking. It is a lie. What people are actually doing when they think they're multitasking is actually just doing multiple tasks in very fast increments and just switching between them. They're not actually doing 2 things at one time. If you extrapolate that out to your financial goals, then the question then becomes, well, how do I get to do all these goals? I just can't do it at the same time. So there's a priority list that we have to do. And the way that I tend to prioritize people is to say, and this is why I do, appreciate the financial independence movement to some regard, is if we are able to calculate how much you would need to become financially independent, even if you never hit that goal, then I'm kind of going to use what you said going forward is like the questions will then find you to say then if your fastest path to financial independence is paying down your debt, then that's probably what we're going to do first. Or if you've already paid down your debt and the financial path, the fastest path to financial independence is in fact buying that home or increasing your income at your job, or in fact, getting your kids to college, you can get them out of the house and sell your house, whatever it is that you need to do, then that will clarify it. The good news is I tell people you can have all those goals. You can do it. You just can't do it at the same time. And so we have to decide which goals really stay and which goals really go. Oftentimes, especially people, millennials, are obsessed with buying a home. And then when I ask them, why do you want to buy a home? They say, and I have gotten this response multiple times. Like, that's what adults do.
Yeah. We just have it built in.
Yeah. It's not actually because they want it.
It's like this. I'm supposed to.
And so we question which goals stay and go, and then we order those in the pursuit of financial independence.
I think that what you're saying, Bernadette, is focus on what your biggest constraint is. And we get that. So if debt's the biggest constraint, eliminate that constraint. And now that opens up the floodgate more for the second, then the floodgate more for the third, then the floodgate more for the fourth. Versus, to your point, if I'm trying to get 3 things at one time, it's not 33%, 33%, 33%, because between the switching and our ability to not multitask and the disorganization we have around trying to chase 3 things, and the fact that I can't apply all this leverage because I'm not getting rid of the debt first or whatever it is, it's more like 20%, 20%, 20%. Like instead of 100% to 1, it's 20%, 20%, 20% to 3.
And I would also say there's 20%, 20%, 20%, but then also there's a leakage of time and energy and money, because even in those small spaces where you're switching in between those tasks, then you're getting inefficiency out of it, right? And the reason that some people end up winning gold medals in the Olympics is because that's all they focused on.
One thing.
Most of us in the world would say, I would never spend that much time on one thing. I just went to see Simone Biles in real life. I was like, I got to see her one time before, she officially retires. She's won multiple medals and she is literally the GOAT in this particular sport. No one would ever say to her that was a waste of time to focus on that one thing for so many years, right? So I tell people at most we've got 3 goals to work on that are, if you had to drop everything else in service of just these 3 financial goals, what would they be? And then how do we stack them in priority order that would actually lead towards your financial independence?
Number 2 is comparing to the wrong success stories. You write that you have done this as a creator, and I certainly have done this as a creator. I'll compare Stacking Benjamins to other brands. I'm like, why can't I be Bernadette Joy? If I could, things would be so much better. But we do that. And, my mom always says that comparison is the thief of joy, but you say it's even more than that.
I think it's the thief of your money. Really. Aside from joy, I think it is literally stealing from people's bank accounts in how much of our decisions are based on either what we think we should be doing compared to other people or trying to impress other people. And I know we've heard that rhetoric before. That's not new, but I think what has been very eye-opening to me in the last year is that a lot of the people who had something to say about how I was living my life before, meaning I'll give you kind of a prime example. When my husband and I decided the debt was that was our constraint, we had to get rid of it. We were pretty frugal. And you and I talked about this, where our love of board games came from that time period, because we just weren't going outside. So we just played a lot of board games.
Perfect.
And during that time, I was thinking, oh my gosh. And again, I'm like in my late 20s, early 30s. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm such a loser because all my friends are at the breweries here in Charlotte and they're all out on Friday nights. And me and my husband are inviting our 2 also broke friends to come over and play board games with us. And also those 2 broke friends are the only ones who understand the rules of these games and we don't have to explain it to them and all of that. Right. We would spend literally $5 each because this is true story. Me and these 2 friends and my husband, we would just say, what's in your fridge? What's in your fridge? What's in your fridge? And then let's figure out what we can make with everything in our fridge. And maybe we have to buy
a potluck meal.
Yeah. Maybe we have to buy bread or something just to fix it up. All of those people who I was worried that they were going to think I was a loser for never going out and just being nerdy, to be honest, also playing board games. I started getting all these texts from people being like, why don't you invite me to your board game nights? Why don't you? And I was like, wait, what? You're posting pictures of you being drunk at the club. Why do you want to come to my board game night?
That's so good.
Yeah. So it was really fun for me to realize that a lot of the stories that people are actually putting out there, especially on social media, aren't even real. They aren't even really happy.
It's so hard though. And I actually feel about this, even with what I said earlier about comparing myself to other brands and other stuff. Like when I worry about, quote, growing the brand, or I worry about being as big as X brand or whatever, you know what happens that's good, Bernadette? Nothing good happens. But when I focus on, there's one person listening to this conversation whose life might change because Bernadette and Joe gave them this courage to go do it. That's when good shit happens. Like that, that when I focus on one person versus all this other stuff, it's so wild how, I don't know, you really got to be intentional about what you put into your brain, and comparing it to other people through social media or whatever is just the wrong place.
Joe, you just saying that yourself, I don't know how much you realize that means to creators like me, where you're one of the brands and I'm just like, got to be as smart as Joe. And I got to make sure all my stuff is together. And he's been doing it for a long time. And I said this to you in email, but I have to really reiterate it, is that, you gave me some really good mentoring advice to say, I basically said, I don't know that I want to do this part of my business anymore. And you basically gave me permission to follow my curiosity. And I was just like, and it was such an aha moment where I was just like, wait, I can do something just because I like doing it. I don't have to monetize it or get more followers and get a sponsor. I can just talk to people.
What?
That's really what happened to me that night. I was just like, oh, that's right. I could just talk to people, and I don't even have to record it and make it a podcast. I could just talk to them.
It's crazy talk, Bernadette.
That actually switched me in a way that I have to really thank you for opening that up for me, because we forget sometimes.
Stop. Keep going. Stop. Number three on our list. And this one, man, how many times have you and I both seen this one? Giving out discounts nobody asked for.
I just saw it yesterday. a client of mine who became a friend, she's an interior designer. She has a friend who's opening up a salt cave. Have you ever been to a salt cave, Joe?
I'm hoping you're saying salt cave and not assault cave.
Salt cave. Yes. SALT.
Oh, good. Because alliteration there is everything. The first one, salt, I'm in. Assault, I probably don't want anything to do with.
No, assault and cave together, never a good combination, right?
No.
So it's literally these places where they build these rooms or caves just entirely built out of salt. The things that people come up with. But I've been to 2 before, and it sounds crazy. And I'm not trying to like now sell people on salt caves. But point being is that salt cave, you go there, you sit there. It's, tech free, so it just forces you to just sit with yourself and your own thoughts, which can be another thing.
Yeah.
But there is benefits of just redepositing these minerals back into your body because most people are deprived of minerals and stuff. They're dehydrated. Most people are dehydrated. Long story short, the owner yesterday comes to me and they're going to open up in a couple weeks. This is a business. She's like, oh, here's the memberships. And, but since you're a friend of a friend, like I would offer this discount forever. And I was like, no, absolutely not. I will pay full price because you worked really hard. I'm literally watching this thing get built. There's all of these bricks of salt being laid one by one on this thing. I'm like, you will get paid, ma'am. And then she was like, oh, I know, Marie, my client told me to stop giving out discounts nobody asked for. And I'm like, so and you still did it.
We think as a new business owner, I feel like between our ears, we think nobody's going to come. Nobody respects me. I'm the new person on the block. So what's the first thing I have to do? I have to sell it for less.
Mm-hmm. And so I was like, no, I will pay full price and stop doing that.
But we do that. Even our stackers out there, Bernadette, that work for somebody else. I mean, the number of times the study every year, the study comes out that your boss wants to give you a raise and you haven't asked. Your boss wants to give you the raise. Your boss isn't going to give you the raise because she or he, or they're just busy doing other stuff. It's not that they don't care, but if you went and asked, then yet we don't do it. Or we say yes. You talk about this too. We say yes to 50 things when we need to be doing that one thing.
It's happened to me more recently around speaking engagements where, and it is nuanced, right? I will say that I always start out with my full price. And then if we have to negotiate from there, so be it. But I won't do the negotiation for them on their behalf by offering the discount right up front.
I think the key there is that nobody's asking for. Number 4, accepting debt as a long-term lifestyle instead of a short-term solution. You write that in 2023, according to Forbes, the average interest rate in America, 27.81%. You know what I think of? Yeah. For people just listening to the audio podcast, she's gagging big time on that number. What I think of, though, I think about the other side of that equation, and this was powerful for me, is that I used to be on the 27.8% side, paying that out. Now I'm on the other side of the equation. No debt, investor. I take that back. I have a mortgage because it's at a stupid low interest rate, so I decided to do that. We have a car payment again because I got 0% financing, and I figured out how much money can I borrow and make it $300 a month. But that's just because, and I take that back. We paid it off last month. That's now gone. But even then, I had debt as a opportunity because the interest rate was so low, not at 27.8. But there was a time when I was at 27.8, Bernadette. And then I realized that somebody's on the other end of that equation. You can either be the person paying it or you can be the person receiving it. I'm like, oh, how great would it be to be on the other side of this?
That's exactly right. I did an exercise with my Crush boot camp where it comes up every cohort of mine of like, but what about the credit card points? What about the credit card points? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, credit card points are great. Don't get me wrong. But I showed them. I said, okay, I have 2 credit cards. I have a business credit card and I have a personal credit card. And I pay them off weekly. And I haven't had credit card debt in a very, very long time, even at the best. And I spend a lot of money on my business credit card because I'm putting my rent on it. I'm putting my, all of my subscriptions on it. I'm putting all my travel on it. So I get a lot of points. And I said the equivalent of how much those points equated to was around like $1,000 in this last 6 months, which is pretty great. Like to get $1,000 of free, quote unquote, free money or whatever feels great. Then I showed them how much money I've made in my interest from my CDs, from my high yield savings account, and from my money market, and from my dividends. None of them are like hugely, like 10, 20% or whatever. They're like very conservative things. I made $10,000 in all of that interest combined. I said, even the thought of you trying to hack these points right now, take that same energy and figure out how to hack an investment, figure out how to hack an asset. Like if you can figure out credit card points, which to me is very complicated, and how to hack all this travel, because there's people who make entire careers out of that. Imagine if you took that energy and figured out how to put money towards things that actually make you real money. And people are just like, oh, I get it now.
I can create my own reward point. Or 3 or 6. Last one is choosing fear over freedom and making money choices. I said that we would circle back to fear, and I really want to end here because as our longtime stackers know, I'm a guy that feels a lot of fear. You've got the 3 main ones: fight, flight, or freeze, or people's responses to fear. But you say there's 2 more. Financial freak out is one. I don't want to talk about that one. This was a new one to me. Fawning. And by the way, I've done this before. I have totally done this before. And I didn't even realize that it was a fear response. And then you were writing about it. And I'm like, oh crap, this is totally a fear response. What is fawning when it comes to fear?
I can't take credit for it. It's a psychology term. Again, that psychology degree, I guess it did pay off in some regard. Fawning essentially is, it's often found in people who've experienced some sort of trauma. And it's a way to cope with the potential aggressor or the thing that's causing you the fear, to placate it. It's a learned behavior to say, well, if I just like tell you you're great and tell you you're amazing and tell you I'm going to do all the things, even though I know I'm really not going to do it, right, then it dissipates the thing that's causing the fear. So a prime example for women a lot of times is, I hate to say this, but like, I'll tell my husband like, yeah, you're totally right. And I'm like, no, you're not, but whatever. Like, I don't want to get into an argument. I don't have the energy to get an argument with me. So yeah, you're right. And I just move on. That's kind of an example of fawning.
But sometimes, Bernadette, you got to admit, because I do that with Cheryl sometimes, where I'm like, yeah, no, you're totally right. And I'm like, lose the battle, win the war. Like, this is not the hill to die on.
Well, yeah, there's some of those, but a lot of, and that's what I said specifically for women, we're trained to not create conflict. Women are trained to say your value is based on people liking you. So fighting is a way to get someone to not like you. So you'd just rather not fight. And so what is very interesting about the fear responses when it comes to money, I'll give you a prime example. I have a client who has $10,000 owed to her in taxes, rightfully. She doesn't want to go talk to her tax person because she doesn't want him to think that she's a bother.
This kills me. Oh, this kills me.
Kills you? Imagine me. Like, I'm like her money coach. She's good enough of a friend of mine at this point that I can just use whatever words I need to say. I was like, excuse me, insert comment here. Go get your money right now. This is ridiculous. But I have to say, I understand where she's coming from in the sense of like, she's been talked down to before in the past by people who managed her money. Like, she's literally been told like, oh, don't worry your pretty little head. Like, I'll take care of it, kind of thing.
Gross.
I'm like, this is not right. You're owed 10 grand and this guy has not done crap, right? So it really does show up in people's finances, and not even in just little things. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars that are potentially going to waste because a lot of people are afraid to say what they really want to say or ask the right questions because it's easier to be perceived as being likable.
Yeah, but you got to have the guts to be the CEO of your financial situation. Like, because that person's not going to be there when you run out of money, when you don't have the wherewithal to get where you want to go.
Yeah.
And by the way, speaking of financial advisors, you make a point of saying that, frankly, I know the numbers on financial advisors. We need more good advisors in general, but you make a great point of saying we need more diverse advisors. We need more advisors that look like a lot of the community that they serve. And that's huge. If there's somebody listening to you and I right now, go into financial planning. There's a moat to swim, but man, there's so many people that need help. There's so many underserved communities, Bernadette.
There's so many people who need help. There is room for everybody. I really do believe that. We talk about that at FinCon. You would think at a place at FinCon, we wouldn't be sharing secrets and we wouldn't be mentoring each other because we could be considered competition in a lot of ways. But I have never felt threatened by another person entering into the spaces that I am in. And then particularly, like you said, when it comes to financial planning, is I didn't have a financial advisor for a long time because up until very recently, nobody wanted to work with me because I had no money. Then when people realized I had money, they're like, oh, I want you to be my client. And then when I finally had a financial advisor, he said to me point blank, I've never had a client like you before. Every quarter, I was supposed to go to his office and he would buy me lunch and he would show me a bunch of graphs. And so I would ask, well, what does that mean? And do I really need that? and so he was just like, no one's ever asked me these questions before. I'm like, excuse me, sir, nobody's ever asked you anything. They just took the lunch and then said thank you and just like went on their way. And he's just like, pretty much. And I was just like, okay. So there was that aspect, but also the other aspect of where I don't think I reflected any of his clients was that most of his clients were just older.
Yeah.
They were in their 50s or 60s. And I was saying I wanted to retire in my 40s. And he was like, I've never had a client who wanted to retire in their 40s. And I was like, oh, well, hello, I'm here.
No, it is so wild. The number of, during the 16 years that I did that, the very few questions I got, the number of people that were willing to completely 100% delegate stuff. And my job was to not let them delegate everything. In other words, I would take care of your stuff, but it's still your stuff. And I would try my hardest to impress upon you that this is not my stuff. You need to be the CEO. You have to be the CEO. But then you got to have smart people around you, and have your client question you is the best thing that could happen. Because as a great financial advisor, I could then flex back in the day, all the stuff that I knew and all the stuff that I'd thought of. But by the same token, then my client left the meeting feeling empowered. So man, don't be afraid to ask all those questions. I love these, Bernadette, because I think that just by identifying these 5 mistakes, we've really helped people a long way toward reaching their financial goals. But for you, that's just the start, because believe it or not, I know people are going to find this shocking. You've actually written a book about this whole thing. It's called Crush Your Money Goals, 25 Smart Money Moves to Save, Invest, and Fast Track Your Financial Freedom. And I'm assuming it's available everywhere.
Yes, it's available on Amazon. I just finished the audiobook, which was a whole experience. I'm really excited about it. And as we talked about, I decided to focus on this book on simple things you can do. And I might give you a little bit of background as to the information as to why you should do it. But if you're looking for a book, especially in the new year, of things that you actually want to change in your behavior versus just learning new information that you could find on ChatGPT, this is a fun book for people to read. And what I'm really proud of is that almost every habit has a story of someone other than me who tried the thing and it worked for them. And so if you're looking for some other stories of how it was actually implemented versus like, hey, go do this thing, and then you don't know if it's going to work or not, there's a lot of other people who can attest that these habits have actually changed their finances, not just their mindset.
I love the stories. I think it's going to give a lot of people a lot of courage, Bernadette. And I just think people having a framework to work from as they go do this stuff, and that push from Bernadette Ramsey that they're going to like so much. Thank you for mentoring our stackers today. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm actually going to go by Bernadette Joe instead of Bernadette Joy, and I'm going to channel you.
Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and happy birthday to Margaret Hamilton. Who is she, you ask? Well, let me tell you. You and I thought that OG was the scariest person alive. No, not true. Margaret's character, the Wicked Witch of the West, frightened generations of kids before someone created a tale for Broadway, and now for the screen, just to restore Margaret's good name and flip the ending. I'm sure the fact that they've made a bajillion dollars is just a side effect. Margaret Hamilton, who had sadly already died, is now remembered as the Good Witch. Now, if someone here would just do that for OG's storyline, maybe he'd be less cranky, and we'd all be rich, too. Here's today's question about this whole Wizard of Oz thing. Buddy Epson of Beverly Hillbillies fame was originally slated to play in the film, but was replaced by Jack Haley after he developed an allergic reaction to what color paint? I'll be back right after I go write this script making OG the good guy. Wait, I'll also star as Douginda, the good podcaster. Man, this is gonna be awesome!
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Hey there, stackers. I'm movie lover and new script developer, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Man, writing a script, turning OG into a good guy it's tough. I mean, how many times are you allowed to say before this becomes rated R? Might have to come up with a new word. Kinda? I don't know. Sadly, in today's trivia celebrating the Wicked Witch of the West's posthumous birthday, we're focused on the huge Benjamin-making classic, Wizard of Oz. Margaret Hamilton's co-star was supposed to be Buddy Epson of Beverly Hillbillies fame until he developed an allergic reaction to what color paint? Well, Buddy was slated to become the Tin Man, so they needed to paint his face silver. Clearly a no-no. On another topic, OG, how many dance numbers would you be open to doing during this production? I mean, not for nothing, but okay, all right, fine. No need to give me that look. I'll just throw this back to Joe. Maybe I'll find a stand-in. I wonder if any of the Dancing with the Stars people are available. Maybe Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart would be a good stand-in for OG.
You perfect. Little angry guy.
Same size. Yeah.
Always yelling. What's up with this? I do feel sad for Margaret Hamilton because had she been alive long enough to see Wicked come out, I mean, what a redemption, right? Because you got to know the rest of her life. Everybody's like, oh, you were an actor? What were you in? Oh, I was in The Wizard of Oz. Oh my goodness. So many great parts. What were you? Yeah, I was the Wicked Witch of the West. Like, man, when I was a kid, had I met Margaret Hamilton, even just as the actor who played the Wicked Witch of the West, I would have been so afraid.
And, you know, another cool piece of trivia about Margaret Hamilton and how ironic it was that she was the Wicked Witch of the West was before she became an actress, she was a kindergarten teacher who was, by all accounts, the nicest person on the planet. Like won Teacher of the Year award.
She does look like a kindergarten teacher, didn't she? Though?
I know.
She totally does.
When did she pass away? Because the book that Wicked was based on came out in the early 90s.
Yeah,
1985. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
just missed it by that much.
Hang on just a little bit longer, Margaret. But hopefully Margaret's somewhere smiling down on all of us because she definitely got the better treatment later on. Hey, let's move on to our headline.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamin's headlines. Today's headline comes to us from the Wall Street Journal. And this piece is written by the Jason Zweig, who maybe, I don't know, OG, would you put him or Jonathan Clements as your favorite
columnist out there. I think these two guys kind of run very much in tandem.
Pretty close, yeah. Neck and neck. Too close to call, as the election official said.
Pertinent stuff. Well, not this year, was it? I don't know where to turn or what to do. His $763,094 retirement fund. Well, let's talk about what happened to it. Jason writes, Richard Whitaker's life turned upside down in 2023. First, the industrial mechanic in Pasadena, Maryland, got laid off from his longtime job. Let's start with that, OG. I'm just going to pause here. We're going to stretch out what happened, but you never know when this stuff is going to happen. This was a long-time job. I'm sure if you've been in a job forever, like every day you show up and you're like, okay, I feel like I've got maybe a little bit of certainty. And even if you kind of see the bus coming at you, I know for a lot of people, even if you see all the writing on the wall, if I've been there 20, 25 years, you're like, yeah, probably not going to happen to me, but it does happen to you.
Yeah. And there were some articles that I read here recently about how corporations are shifting around kind of leadership levels and basically eliminating that whole middle manager type of role in some positions. And if you've been in a job for a long time and you're transitioning, trying to transition to a new one or get laid off and you're trying to find another one, the concern in the article, at least what the author was saying, was there's not as many of those upper middle level management jobs to be had anyway, because they're kind of tightening the belt in some places.
In my extended family, I've got a young family member who's maybe getting close to 30. And we were having a discussion over Thanksgiving. He's had 3 bosses during his professional career. Loved the job at first because he had an extraordinary leader. The second boss he had almost made him leave the company because this job, just based on one, not even getting rid of the full layer, OG, of people and that type of downsizing, just changing one person changes view of the entire organization. Now, luckily, that person got changed again after about 8 months of being his leader, and he got a new leader back that he likes a lot again. And he's realized at a fairly young age that just that one person affects how you feel about the entire company that you work for.
There are study after study after study that says people, at least in white collar jobs and most even blue collar jobs, don't leave because of the work. They leave because of their direct manager.
Because of the people.
Not even like their boss's boss. It's their direct leadership is what causes them to leave.
So I think for all of us, based, Doug, completely on the studies that you mentioned, we got to think that we're only a couple days away. It's not even stuff you decide, or the company might make the decision. To your point, OG, Doug, to your point, your leader might decide to, or get promoted or decide to take some other job that just pays more. And all of a sudden you've got a new leader that you didn't know that you were going to have, and your job changes. Well, it gets worse for Richard because soon after he gets laid off, he was diagnosed with colon cancer. We also don't know, OG, when life's going to hit, when our health is going to go bad. I was surprised by the story we did. How long ago was this, guys? Maybe 6-7 weeks ago. We did a Friday
Friday maybe
round.
6 or 7 weeks ago.
we did we did a Friday round table that talked about how, the average healthy life expectancy, not life expectancy, but healthy life expectancy is 66 years old in America. So we think, okay, I'm going to live to be maybe 85, but starting at around 65, I might not be that healthy.
Oh, you're saying that's not okay. I got it. I thought you meant if you lived a really healthy life, you're still going to kick it at 66.
No.
Like, well, then F it. I'm out.
Stuff starts breaking. Basically, kind of where you guys are. It's like right around the corner.
Ooh.
Doug, do you want to reach across the table and strangle him, or should I?
No, he's scared.
I don't think you guys have the strength anymore. So
we have brittle bone syndrome.
I know. I haven't seen a lot of milk going down those gullets in a while. Better be careful. Those hips are quite fragile from what I understand.
That actually isn't funny because I did have an MRI yesterday on my foot.
Don't feed him. Don't help him.
And the doctor even said, but anyway.
Like it's just wore out. It's like that Gaffigan bit. Just wore out.
It just wore out. There is, though, a point here that you don't know. Okay, your job goes great. You don't know when your health is going to take a turn for the worse. Yeah. You probably see that, OG, over your career. How many times have you seen that just with clients? Out of the blue, something comes along?
I mean, thankfully not a ton. Honestly, we've been pretty lucky to have to work with a bunch of people who have been pretty healthy. But I do notice, especially as you get a little bit older, that honestly stuff does start to break. The healthy client that was always very spry, so to speak, all of a sudden you notice, wow, I haven't talked to him in 6 months and maybe a little slower all of a sudden. And then you find out 6 months later, he's in a nursing home and has dementia or something. You just go, wow, that seemed to have progressed very quickly. We're noticing that with our immediate family. I mean, with my mom and my dad and my in-laws, it's like we see them in like little spurts of time. And then it's a little bit of time between that, right? We see them in the summer and then they come down in the fall. And then we see them again at the holiday, and it's like you see them in these little isolated times and you go, God, these people are getting old. What the heck is going on?
And this is not the point of this piece, but this is definitely a reason why the emergency fund is important, just because you don't know when this stuff's going to hit.
Well, and all the stuff that's related to it. Life insurance never happens. 28-year-olds never get hit by cars, and every single weekend in Dallas, I read a story about some idiot that was driving the wrong freaking way on the highway, probably intoxicated, and smashes into a family. You know what I mean? It's just, you hear about these things, you go, geez, Louise, we had a wrong way driver on the tollway or on the toll lanes. There's a highway in Dallas that has, you got the normal highway and then you can take the express lanes.
Yeah.
And they're open in one direction or the other.
And it's only one lane with almost no.
Yeah, it's two in the section I was, but yeah, sometimes there's one. I was passing a car over a hill, so there's a little ridge. We came over the hill, and just by, I just moved back over to the right lane. And within 10 seconds of moving over the next crest came the opposite driver. And how many times do you see people that go to pass you or you pass somebody and just stay in the left lane?
Okay.
It was like one of those things where it's like, you should go over to the right lane now. And I'm like, I should go over to the right lane now. It's like, these aren't the droids you're looking for. It's like, you just kind of moved over and all of a sudden, boom, here comes this car. I'm going, good night, man. 5 seconds later, if we would have just stayed in the left lane, or that guy would have sped up and not let us pass, or, whatever, because sometimes that crap happens. You don't know. You don't know. You just, injury, illness.
I have one of the stories. Can I tell it?
Yeah.
It didn't actually happen to me, but I was at a friend's house outside of Chicago, and her sister came home completely just broken, crying, blithering, shaking. It was like she was having a breakdown. It took us a few minutes to get her to tell us what happened. She was on, I think, the Dan Ryan, behind a trailer full of boats where if you ever see them shipped, they're kind of on an angle, stacked up. And she just had this premonition that she should not be behind this. And within 3 seconds, she couldn't really pass the truck because there was so much traffic, but she just moved over a lane. And within 5 seconds, she said 2 of the boats fell off and would have crushed her.
Yeah. Yeah. Alyssa had a really bad accident on the tollway, a couple of years back, and, some car flipped over and landed on top of her car on the highway. And it was,
I forgot about that. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. All that to say, you should have disability coverage when you're healthy. You should buy life insurance, when you're 40, because you should have your estate plan done. We were talking to somebody a couple of months ago and they're like, well, I'm young, I'm good. I don't need to have my estate plan done.
I'm healthy.
Well, I mean, I get that it's maybe not the most pressing issue, but it's like a colonoscopy when you're 45. You're probably okay, but you still have to go do it. It's like, just go do it.
You don't know when it's going to hit.
It's cheap insurance, so to speak.
This is what I love about Jason Zweig articles, is that every piece I read by him has all these things that come up, because that whole discussion we just had.
And then hold my beer, because here's the rest of the story.
This is what happened to Richard Whitaker next. Gets laid off, diagnosed with colon cancer, and then words that I'm sure OG as a working advisor, me as a former advisor, this next sentence just puts the pit in my stomach, because Jason writes, then out of nowhere, it seemed that a single investment would put Whitaker's life back on track. And you go, oh God, no.
Oh God, no. Yep.
Through a friend, he heard about a firm called Yield Wealth, and the quote guaranteed 15.25% return it was offering to investors on some products. Quote, I figured this is an amazing opportunity and I'll be set for life, recalls Whitaker, 60. And by the way, it's easy for me because my first thought is, really? Richard Whitaker, really? And then I'm like, what type of bravery does it take to let yourself be the subject of a cautionary tale by the Wall Street Journal's preeminent columnist? Like, Richard, thank you for telling your story, because it takes balls to tell this story that, hey, I thought at the time, well, he talked about it so obsessively, says his wife, Kimberly, that despite her misgivings, good for you, Kimberly, she eventually told him, it's your money. I have no clue. I don't care anymore. Do what you got to do.
Yeah. And on top of all of the stress and anxiety associated with, I haven't been working and I have this medical condition that I'm dealing with. It's like all these other pieces fit into the puzzle of, well, how does this get past the gatekeepers? How do we not see this? It's like, well, you might have, absent all of the other stresses in your life, right? But we've got all these other stresses, and then this thing shows up. You're like, I got to do something with the money too. No, here's an easy solution. Oh, okay, one less thing. Awesome. Let's do the one less thing. And without a lot of due diligence and research, because it's the easy button.
And I know, OG, because I've been there, the further down that rabbit hole you get, the more of a gambler mentality you get. You're like, I just need one thing to go right. I just need the number 6 horse and the number 3 race to win, and things are going to be on the right track.
Hold on. Let me write that down. 6 horse, 3 race.
If one thing
to win, this is what we're doing.
If the team play in the Detroit Lions finds a way to cover the spread, we'll get there.
No, you would want Detroit to cover the spread.
You do want Detroit to cover the spread.
I get it. Yes, I don't want to correct your betting strategy. If what's working for you, buddy, is working for you.
But no, what I'm saying is it doesn't work. But you're like, if it happens one time,
I
just
need this 8-way parlay to play out once, and then I'll be
That's
good.
it. Then my life is better.
All my money in Bitcoin.
I mean, it's all in that sentence that Richard says here. I figured this is an amazing opportunity and I'll be set for life. There it is. Yeah. That's the gambler mentality right there. So in March, Whitaker withdrew his entire 401k from Fidelity.
Withdrew.
$763,094.21. Rolled it over. He rolled it over into an individual retirement account. So he didn't pay any tax.
Good.
It's a taxable event, which means you're going to get something from the IRS saying that you did it, but there will be no tax due. An IRA with yield, which was affiliated with a firm called Next Level Holdings. Not this level, Next Level. What Richard didn't know is it was Next Level Down, which is hell, right?
Yes.
Next Level's run by Paul Regan, whose history of financial infractions I detailed in columns on August 30th and September 20th. Zweig has already written 2 pieces about this dude.
I went back and read those too as part of this. It's mind-boggling. Like how this person's not in prison. I just don't understand it. I mean, I get that we've got other criminals doing other bad things and resources are snug, in jurisdictions. Where does this rank in the hierarchy of like, we're solving a murder case? And I mean, this is kind of, in my opinion, the same level. Like this person has to be off the streets. It's the equivalent of that. How much money did he abscond with? Does it say?
Now Whitaker, like hundreds of other investors who altogether put up at least 50 million of these products, he wonders if he'll ever see his money again. Yeah, could have run away with up to $50 million.
Yeah, hundreds of people with 50 million, right? So that tells you how many victims there have been. And they're not profound amounts of money per person. If it's 100 people and 50 million, right, that's 500,000 per person. That's probably not 10% of that person's portfolio, right?
It's 100% of their portfolio.
It's 100% of their, it's most likely all of it based on those numbers. And if it's hundreds of people, then it's an even lower dollar per average, even more victims, obviously, and a higher likelihood, in my opinion, that it's sum total of all of their money.
But this guy can't be all bad. I mean, let's look at the other side of this. He has to be the greatest salesman of all time. This guy has skills.
Too soon, Doug. Too soon, buddy.
Too soon.
I mean, I want him on our team.
Let's not quite give him the Jordan Belfort treatment quite yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's let him go to prison for a while, then redeem himself, and then come out as a public speaker against atrocities.
I'm going to that seminar.
Right. Paul Reagan wakes up every day and he's got two pictures on his wall, Jordan Belfort and Bernie Madoff. I can beat him. I know I can do better. I got it. Now Whitaker, like hundreds of other investors, so they put together, about $50 million. Here's the question, OG. Was there some research? Because this is what everybody wants to know. Was there some research that Whitaker could have done that would have beyond 15.25, right? I mean, that's lesson number one that I'm sure everybody's, if you hear 15.25 guaranteed, don't do it. There's no such product.
Yeah. And I'll explain why it's not possible.
Well, let's do that first then.
Well, what else are you going to ask? Is there some other research? And
is there some research? Could they have found Paul Regan and the fact that this guy'd been in hot water before? Was there a way that with some research,
already banned from the securities industry and subject to these other articles that Jason wrote in August and September? If you go back and read those two, like they just called him. They're like, dude, what are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be banned from the industry? And then he plays coy for a while and then goes, yeah, my bad. You're right. I probably shouldn't be doing this. Like he copped to it right away when the Wall Street Journal guys called him. I think he used his middle name and last name or something, or his first initial and middle name and last name instead. You absolutely have to go on FINRA's broker check. This is not a be all end all, because if you don't know the layers of the people, the other complication with this particular story is this Paul Regan fella, who's the ultimate bad guy, he wasn't the guy selling the stuff. He was selling it to insurance agents who were selling the stuff. So you got a couple layers there to dig through. And I don't know that it's reasonable to assume that you could get to the Paul Regan guy on broker check or, whatever, because insurance products are not licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission or FINRA. They're registered at the state level. And anybody can print a prospectus or whatever and go, yeah, it says right here, registered with the state of Texas, says it's good. Like, I'm sure there's a repository somewhere in some database, someplace in Austin that you can go, is this product actually, does the state of Texas know this exists? But I think that's beyond the expectation of the reach of most people. But if you're a professional and this stuff is being pitched to you, which it is constantly, I get hundreds of emails a week from companies going, hey, we have the greatest thing in the universe. All the S&P upside, none of the downside. It's unbelievably frustrating to hear pros sell stuff to other pros saying things like all of the upside and none of the downside. That literally cannot be possible. It absolutely 1000% cannot be possible. Because if that existed in the world, no one would do anything but that. It's the same thing as like saying, well, my cousin Jack, he picks all winners in the stock market. Well, why the F isn't cousin Jack managing $700 trillion? Because if he's the only person in the history of mankind who can pick stocks accurately every freaking time, he would manage all the money.
And we'd have all kinds of books about him like we do about Warren Buffett, Benjamin Graham.
It doesn't make any sense to me. So when you hear these numbers, there's two things going on. And one of them is, I think, people feel like there's not enough time. And, you're 50 years old, you're 60 years old, you have $700,000 and you're going, that's it. This is all I have. I don't have anything else. I don't have anything else to do. I have to hit a home run on this pitch because for the last 50 years, I didn't, I recognize I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I didn't save millions of dollars before retirement. I'm at 500K. I need one home run. To your point, Joe, I need the third horse, sixth race, or whatever you said. I wrote it down for later. But to win, which is a really bold statement. I mean, like usually just take the win, place, or show. You just take some money, but you're going all in.
I'm not going with show, man. I'm going with win. I need to win.
As you feel this pressure of like, I'm 58, I only have 700K, da-da-da. Look, you have time. Is it going to be the most amazing financial independence time of your life because of where you are? Probably not. Do you get to retire when you're 58 if you have 700 grand in the bank? Probably not. That's just part of the deal. But you also don't have to try to hit a grand slam on every pitch. That's where you start getting in trouble. Number one is just the recognizing you have enough time. If you're 50 years old or 60 years old, your money's going to double in the next 7 or 8 years. Yeah. Do you have to work till you're 67? Okay, fine. Does that suck? Probably. But plenty of people do it. And you can't get your Social Security to 67 anyway. That's when you get your biggest check. So just work for 7 more years. Back to your original point, maybe that's not easy. It's easier said than done. But anyways, you have enough time. The second thing is is when you see these numbers that are wildly disparate from what real life is. The S&P averages 10.1% a year. Small company stocks average 13.3. That's it. If your buddy says, hey, I'm going to build an ice cream shop and I want you to be an investor, and you say, all right, cool. How much money do you think we'll make? And he says, I think I can return 5%. What do you tell him? You go,
I can do better.
Bro, I can make 5 in my freaking savings account. I'm good. I don't need to take that level of risk to have that level of return. If I'm going to take the risk of owning a little teeny tiny ice cream shop in a tourist town with you, I need to get some juice. I need some cash, man. Like, that's where the risk return thing goes. So you get that concept, right? We understand that if I'm going to own a piece of a really, really, really small business, in order for me to take the risk of owning that business or a part of it, I need to get a huge return. Everybody good with that? This is the part where you guys nod.
Oh, that wasn't rhetorical?
Positive affirmation. You know,
I thought you were asking Stackerland. I'm like, of course we're down with it.
We're good with it. Okay. So that's one data point. The other data point is we know that if you own the 500 biggest companies in the world, or at least in the United States, through the S&P 500, IVV, SPY, take your pick, you're going to get 10% a year. Historically, that's the number, okay? So if we own a little bits of the 500 biggest companies in the world, Coca-Cola and Apple and NVIDIA and all those really great companies, we get 10. And if we own a part of an ice cream shop in a tourist town, we need a number bigger than 10. We need these projections to be like 25. If somebody says to you, I can get you blank with no risk, just look at it in that matrix. Like if I said to you, Joe, I can get you 4.25, no risk. What do you think? You go, yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
FDIC insured.
It's called put it in my savings account, right? Because that checks. Like, that's where that level should be. U.S. Treasuries, 4%. That's why your savings account gets 4%. And it's guaranteed. You put the money in, as long as it's under 250K, guaranteed by the government, you're going to put your money in. Tomorrow you can take it right back out. Everybody's good with that idea.
Bada bing.
So when you see these numbers that are much higher and are attached with the guarantee, you have to immediately call BS. There is no such thing in the universe where you can get returns greater than the biggest companies in the world with risk equivalent to the bank.
And for people who want to nerd out, OG, on what you just said, there is a concept that you just explained, and I love how you did it without using the jargon. But the jargon that you'll hear in the financial universe is called a risk premium. It's a risk premium. How much more money are you going to get for the additional risk that you're taking? So if individual stocks, big company stocks are at 10, then if I'm getting 15, there's a risk premium. There's not a risk decrease. There's a risk premium.
Here's some facts of the case. So if you think about this and you say, all right, hold on a second. Go back to the part where you said 13. I'm interested in that. 13 is greater than 10. Why is everybody hammering on IVV and SPY, S&P? Shouldn't we just go all small cap Russell 2000, IWM? That averages 13. Like, problem solved, bro. 13 is greater than 10.
There it is.
Absolutely. To your point about risk, here's the trade-off. So you get 13 on average. What do you have to endure to get that 13? And this will be in perspective to that 15 number you heard earlier. You have to be okay with every so often losing 70% of your money on paper. So you have $1 million and you put in your $1 million into the small cap stocks because you want that 13, because 13 is better than 10. You have to be okay with, over the course of a 1 year period, waking up and finding out that your $1 million has turned into 300K. And also you can't do anything about it at that moment. Now at 300, you don't get to change.
It's gone.
Now you wait it out. No, it's not gone. You just have to wait it out.
It is gone if you cash it in.
But nobody in real life does that.
Then.
Yeah, nobody in real life does that. It's like we forget history and we just don't see it in the context of what's happened. Tech stocks is a great example of this right now. People are like, it never goes down. Tech stocks never go down. It's like, well, I don't know, Joe. I think you remember. Doug, you remember. They kind of went down for 13 years. It went down.
But in Maslow's hierarchy of needs and all of that, I mean, pain avoidance is a very real thing. And so people are going to make those irrational decisions because pain, that kind of pain hurts and they want it to stop. And they figure making a stupid move like that.
That's my point. Exactly. Yeah. That's why you can't have your whole portfolio in small cap value, trying to get 13, because somewhere on the ride from $1 million to 300K, you cry uncle. And then you miss out on the average of the 13.
And you also have to know that that is how bumpy that ride is ahead of time. Because if you know how bumpy that ride is ahead of time, then the pain that you're talking about, Doug, when you expect it, it's not as painful, because you're like, oh, this is normally what happens. If it's normally what happens, then I'm staying in there. But if I'm like, wait, I just lost what? A, you're never going to put that much money in it because it loses that much. And then B, the money you do put in there, you're going to ride for two reasons. A, because you didn't put your whole portfolio in it, and B, because you know that that's the expected glide path.
Yeah. And what I was going to say, as I kept on trying to get more of my words in edgewise today, is,
I think he's met his word quota for like 6 weeks, Doug.
Yeah. This is your favorite thing, Joe, is the efficient frontier. You sprinkle those things in and you can see you get a little bit more return. So you go, my portfolio is this. And now if I add a little bit of small cap, what happens? Oh, you get a little bit, a little bit more return, a little bit more risk. Like you see that adjustment kind of in the graph, if you will. Look, I would love to collect all of these nonsense things that show up in your inbox. If you're an investor, if you're a stacker, and you get pitches from people that sound like this, I would love to know about it, because I feel like the platform that we have, some people, I'm on Reddit sometimes. I don't do it on social media, but I go on Reddit, and
we found the loophole.
I did. I kind of feel like I did.
Oh, it doesn't say stealing pencils specifically in the Bible, so I guess that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I follow some flying stuff on Reddit, and there are occasionally training facilities that are a little bit shady. And the comment that everybody makes is name and shame. You know what I mean? Like, we need to out these people so nobody else goes to that training facility and gives them $100,000 and they go away. You know what I mean? If you're getting pitches like this, I want to hear about it, because I want to dissect them here so that we can try to, at least in our little ecosphere of tens of thousands of people,
our little community,
prevent, so that maybe if you hear us talking about it and then you get a pitch and you've got a lot of stress in your life and you're like, oh my gosh, this would be really great. And you just hear the word and you go, wait, I've heard this before. And you look it up at Stacking Benjamins and there's a podcast about yield, whatever the F this place is called. Maybe you just go, oh yeah, this is a scam. I don't have to do this. And we try to save some people. So if you get them, I want to hear about them. Send them to me, OG.
OG's is going to dox the fund manager.
I will 1000%. Yeah. I mean, I'll do my research to make sure it's not whatever.
Here's where their kids go to school.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to dox them. Not that. I'm not going to do that. But I'm just going to say this company's a piece of trash. And here's why.
Game on.
Well, here's the effect of this. And I'm just going to speed through this, because this is the consequence of this betting action that Richard was brave enough to tell his cautionary tale about. After the August piece that Jason Zweig wrote about this man, the company that holds his IRAs, called American IRA, reads this, realizes that they are in bed with this person, meaning that you bought your IRA through yield using their IRA device.
Their
an
platform.
American,
yep.
Yeah, an American as a platform kicked him out. We did the story about Robinhood, a company that I'm not in love with, a week ago, and a new platform for financial planning that they use, right? So very similarly.
I have a completely unrelated but funny thing to that. So again, on Reddit, when that news broke, so we talked about it, obviously, and then the news broke, and somebody wrote, all these financial planners waking up to tell all their clients that their money's now at Robinhood.
I got good news and bad news.
I didn't think of it from that perspective. But anyway, carry on. Go ahead. Sorry.
But America reads this, and rightly so. They kick out next level.
We can't be party to this. You lied on your application, which is what he did.
American IRA's chief executive Jim Hitt says he broke things off after learning from Jason Zweig's column that in 2004, Reagan had been barred for life. Quote, if we'd known that, we wouldn't have done business with Next Level in the first place. So they kicked them out. Now, the bad news is they don't hold any of the money, OG.
No.
And now your money is nowhere because, and this is also companies doing good business, no other company will let them in. Nobody else will let them in. So now any money they do get back is going to be subject to income right now, or there's the possibility that it's no longer sheltered. Like they're in IRS limbo on top of this thing because they bought a product that just,
it does, I mean, it just doesn't, it's, Yeah, it's not real. It doesn't exist.
It just gets worse and worse.
He took $700,000 out of his 401k.
We'll link to this in our show notes. Obviously, it's Wall Street Journal, so you'll need to be able to get your hands on that. That is a pay platform. So if you've got either Apple News, you'll be able to read it, or if you've got the Wall Street Journal subscription, you'll be able to read it. But dive in. It is horrible, but what a story here. And I'm glad that hopefully we stopped a couple people today from making that type of mistake. Hey, that's about all we've got for today, except a little journey out to the back porch. We've got a couple things that I wanted to talk about, which is we just opened up spots for the Stacked Book Club, which is something we debuted last year. This isn't for everybody. This is for a small group of people, 10 sessions, 90 minutes each. We walk through all the achievements in Stacked, and we help you get all those achievements, which means I help you over 10 sessions really work toward building your financial plan. So we have 90 minutes, 10 sessions. We record them if you can't make that exact time. You're in a group with last year's cohort and your current cohort of people between those sessions to ask questions of each other and of me. If you want to work on designing your own plan with my help and the help of a very small group of dedicated people, we don't have a lot of space. It's stackingbenjamins.com/book club. stackingbenjamins.com/book club. It's going to begin at the end of January, but we just opened that up today. Those spaces are now open. Second, I'm headed to Seattle to our friends Tom and Don from the Talking Real Money podcast. They have a great event with guys like Paul Merriman is going to be there, and I get to be there hanging out with them too. It's called Retire Meet, Retire MEET. Go to retiremeet.com. Use code STACKING, and our friend Tom says you will get big savings on your ticket. And we'll be hanging out in Seattle. That's the first weekend in February. And for more details on that, once again, go to retiremeet.com and come learn a lot about finance from a lot of good people. Really, really like those guys. That's where Joe will be. You can come hang out with Doug in Mom's Basement, hang out with OG in Dallas. For tickets to those events, talk to Doug or OG.
OG's house is located at.
Yeah,
that's right. You want to,
and he has a guest room and unlimited supply of wine.
Be fantastic.
Come on
well,
over.
We'll see if it's unlimited. I'll take that dare.
I think we're about there, honestly. I think we've reached peak wine. I have a funny story that maybe I'll share in a couple of days about that.
Fun stuff. Anyway, if you're not here to hang out with me in Seattle or to dive into the book club, you're here because you need your financial plan really to dovetail, and you need experts in your corner on an ongoing basis to help you get there. OG and his team are taking clients, so head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG and make better decisions in 2025. And I promise the thing you'll never hear from OG is it's the number 3 horse in the 6th race.
Guaranteed.
Wait, I thought it was the 6th horse in the 3rd race.
I'm so confused.
That's what he probably say.
I'm taking both just to be safe.
So confused.
All right. On that note, thanks, Stackers, for hanging out with us again on a wonderful Monday. We'll be back here Wednesday. Guess who's coming up on Wednesday, guys? Steve Kerber.
Santa Claus.
Well, close. This is one of our favorite segments of the year. Steve Kerber from the National Fire Safety Institute, a division of UL. You know how your electronic devices say UL listed? Mm-hmm. Steve Kerber every year talks about our plan. And we talk about insurance. The best insurance is having a good plan, which is what we really dove into today with your investing strategy. So Steve Kerber on Wednesday and a bunch more. But let's stick with today because there's a lot to unpack. Doug, what are our top 3?
Well, Joe, first, take some advice from Bernadette Joy and get started crushing your goals. Future you will thank you. Second, feeling like 15% guaranteed is a great deal. As Joe's mom says, if someone wants to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge, tell them you're from Missouri. It'll confuse them, and they'll probably just walk away, like I usually do. But the big lesson, don't call Netflix after you've written the outline for your transforming OG tale. Apparently they aren't as excited about this script as the rest of us are. Thanks to Bernadette Joy for joining us today. You'll find her new book, Crush Your Money Goals, wherever books are sold. We'll also include links in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2024, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. Joe gets help from a few of our neighborhood friends. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show. Bernadette! I don't know the rest of the words to this song. I just gotta scream. Bernadette! Can we talk for a minute about Josh's beard? Like, this is beyond just, oh, I'm not shaving for a couple of days.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not going to shave for a long time.
This is just the new look for you?
I kind of do it every year at this time.
Yeah, okay. I don't remember it being quite this lush.
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait until January.
Okay.
I'm going to look like a homeless guy.
Not looking forward to that. You're going to look like, you know what he's going to look like, Joe? Is Mandy Patinkin on Homeland.
Yes. That's a good look.
You kill my father, prepared to die?
Yeah.
Yes.
But
My
he's
name is
going to look
Inigo
just like
Montoya.
that.
You killed my father, prepared to die.
Well, he didn't have the beard then. But in
He had a mustache,
Homeland,
didn't he?
I'm like, who is that guy? He looks kind of familiar. Like, holy shit, that's the guy from Princess Bride.
I was at a football game this year, and the ceremonial coin tosser guy, you know how they bring out a former player or alumni or something like that.
Yeah, it's been me several times. I've done that a bunch.
Yeah, I doubt that highly. But
And now from the Stacking Benjamin Show, ladies and gentlemen,
esteemed alumni.
the man who makes the wheels run,
Neighbor Doug.
Neighbor Doug.
But it was a pilot for like a B-2 fighter bomber squadron, alumni person,
Wow.
and he looked like a Top Gun pilot, 6'3", just a slender guy, but had the most amazing mustache. I was so enthralled with his mustache as I
Like
was
one of those
"That is
old-time Raleigh fingers kind of comes up with the
no,
edges.
just
and
real thick all the way. I mean, just like you would see in like a Top Gun movie. I was very impressed with this.
Sir, it's
quality
time
of
to flip the
mustache.
coin. What?
Yeah.
Sir, flip the coin.
Like-
It's time.
Can I touch it? Can I touch it?
And so now you had to try to grow your own, is the point.
It's going to take a long time, but we'll see how it goes.
We should post my best ever, the result of my best ever no shave November. I did everything you're doing. And then once I got like midway through December, like, all right, I can't do this anymore, but I shaved everything except what I called my prison stash. And it just went here, down, and then all the way down. I had tails that went all the way down my neck, and it was spectacular.
Oh
big
my
chopper.
goodness.
Yeah, I've done that. You do the chopper. You do the lamb chops.
I haven't done that. No.
You're already scaring
No.
the neighborhood kids so much, Doug. I mean, that'd make it even worse.
If I post this photo, everybody will realize why I had to move.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried to do no shave November, but then it got all bushy down there. And so I finally had to.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Well, we were going to be able to use this for the
Yes.
after show, but
How does the lice comb go through that easily, Joe?
oh boy.
Or does it tweak them a little bit? We're using it now.
Let's go scene right there.
Okay, then.